The bell above the door jingled as another customer entered the small-town diner, its warm yellow lights cutting through the gray chill of the evening. Behind the counter, Emily adjusted her apron and forced a smile. She had been on her feet since sunrise, balancing trays, refilling coffee cups, and carrying the weight of bills waiting at home. Her paycheck barely stretched far enough to cover rent, but she refused to let her struggles dim the kindness in her heart. As she moved between tables, she noticed a man in his late 60s slip quietly into a corner booth. His clothes were worn, his shoulders hunched, and his tired eyes stayed fixed on the menu, though it was clear he wasn't really reading it. Emily approached with her usual cheer. "Good evening, sir. Can I get you something to eat?" The man hesitated, his voice low and uncertain. "Maybe just coffee. I don't think I can afford much more." Her heart tightened. She had seen that look before. The look of someone carrying invisible burdens, someone trying to hide their hunger behind pride. Without a second thought, Emily leaned closer, her voice gentle. "How about a warm meal? Don't worry about the bill. It's on me tonight." The man's eyes widened, his lips parting in disbelief. "Miss, I can't let you do that." But Emily only smiled, setting down a menu. "Everyone deserves a hot meal. Just pick what you'd like." For a moment, silence hung between them. Then, with a shaky nod, the man ordered a simple dinner. As she walked away to place it, Emily felt the weight of her own empty wallet, but heavier still was the knowledge that sometimes, kindness was worth more than money. The man ate slowly, as though each bite carried more meaning than just food. Emily noticed how he closed his eyes for a moment after tasting the first spoonful of soup, like it had been far too long since he'd had a proper meal. She continued serving other customers, but her eyes returned to him often, warmed by the quiet gratitude that seemed to radiate from his table. When he finally finished, the diner had begun to thin out. The chatter of families and the clinking of silverware filled the room, yet Emily felt a strange stillness surrounding the corner booth. The man folded his napkin carefully, stood up with effort, and reached for his coat. Before walking out, he placed a folded piece of paper inside the bill folder. Emily assumed it was just a thank you note, maybe a few words of appreciation. She picked it up casually, not expecting much. But as she unfolded the slip of paper, her breath caught in her throat. In neat, shaky handwriting, the note read, "You'll never know what this means to me. I came here tonight after losing everything. I had no home left, no family to turn to, and no reason to keep going. But your kindness reminded me I still matter. Thank you for seeing me when I felt invisible." As Emily blinked back tears, something else slipped out of the folded paper, a check. Her eyes widened as she realized the amount written was far beyond anything she could have imagined. Enough to cover months of rent, maybe even more. Her hands trembled. She looked up, searching the diner, but the man was gone. Only his words and his gift remained, an echo of a stranger's gratitude that would change her life forever. Emily stood frozen, the note trembling in her hand as the reality sank in. The diner had grown unusually quiet. A few nearby customers had noticed her reaction and were watching curiously. She swallowed hard, her voice breaking as she read the words aloud. By the time she finished, there wasn't a dry eye in the room. Strangers who had come in for nothing more than burgers and coffee now sat in silence, touched by the depth of what had just unfolded before them. One older woman dabbed her eyes with a napkin and whispered, "Bless his heart." A young couple held hands tighter, and even the gruff cook behind the counter leaned against the wall, blinking back emotion. The air felt charged, not with sorrow, but with a strange, powerful sense of connection. Emily pressed the note to her chest. She wasn't thinking about the check, though she knew it would ease her burdens. What shook her most was the reminder that a simple act, a meal given without expectation, had reached into a broken man's heart and pulled him back from despair. As she turned, she noticed customers quietly slipping larger bills under their plates, leaving tips bigger than usual. One man paid for the family dining next to him. A ripple of kindness spread through the diner, sparked by her one small gesture. Emily smiled through tears. She whispered softly, almost to herself, "It was never about the money. It's about letting people know they're not forgotten." That night, as she closed the diner, the world felt a little less heavy, a little more beautiful. A single act of compassion had reminded an entire room that kindness, no matter how small, carries the power to change everything.